Connect, collaborate, grow, find your people and let your business flow. Magnify, magnify, get visible, get found, and let's go. Magnify your biz, let's grow together.
Welcome back to the Magnify Your Biz podcast. I'm Kylie, and today we're talking about email automation without the overwhelm.
I'm Mazzy. So most business owners know that they should actually be automating or sending out emails, and it should be running in the background, but usually have nowhere to start. And so today we're going to be breaking down the 5 emails that should be doing the heavy lifting for you so that you can set it up and then let them do the work for you.
I'm so excited to be talking about this today with you, Mazzy, because I think email marketing is one of those things that people either forget about or put it in the too hard basket. And I guess sometimes not even sure why really should they be doing it. But as you said, when we can automate things, particularly these 5 special ones, what a difference it can make to our business. Why do you think that automated emails convert better than when we just send a one-off newsletter sporadically to our audience or our subscribers?
The reason why automated emails convert better, and that's statistically known that they convert better than just like a one-off broadcast about a special offer that you may have or something that's going on in terms of an event or anything like that, is because when you automate them, you can set it up as almost like a build-up or almost like you're telling a story and building trust with your audience to then, when you do then go to make that offer or that invitation to whatever that you're hosting or promoting, it's a much easier sell to that person because they've gotten to know who you are, they've read your content, they know what you're about, they know what they like or they don't like, and it just becomes a lot more organic, and it just allows you to be able to really build up to that story for somebody. And that's why automated emails far away just a one-off email that you will send to your customer base every so often, whether it's once a month or once a week. That's my take on it. How about yours?
Totally makes sense, and I completely agree. So I'd like to suggest that the first one that you should be automating would be your welcome email. So for example, you've got a little sign up form on your website, or maybe you've got a link to sign up through your Instagram or on your Facebook, and you're getting people's email addresses. Firstly, I want to say you should always get their first name also. It's such a thing that people forget to ask that and they just go for the email address, but then you can't actually personalize that email. So that's always a problematic one to me. I don't want to receive an email that says, "Dear Hun." There's someone that does that a lot, and I'm like, I don't want to be your hun. I just want "Dear Kylie." So I think it's really important that we always remember, have that first name in there. So when someone then signs up on your website, you want to make sure that they're receiving something straight away. That would be the first automated email, and it's saying pretty much like maybe you've signed up on an e-commerce store, so you're going to get that 10% off or something. So you're going to get a discount code sent to you. So that's already training that person to actually open their emails from you, which is then also telling the system, put it in the inbox. Try not to put it in the promo tab. I think that's a cool one. What do you think about that welcome email? And what do you think's really vital that you need to say when someone first joins your list?
Yeah, 100% agree. So the moment somebody signs up or is giving you their email, that's the moment that you have to then nurture that. And then by automating that, you then, one, take the pressure off yourself that you've got to then be getting back to everybody manually and doing a whole thing about it. But also, this is your first opportunity to tell that person who's given you their email who you are and what you do and what you stand for. And then you're also reciprocating by giving them something that they've given you their email for. So it's a classic old, in marketing terms, paid, earned, and owned media. So obviously, paid media is your paid advertising, whether through Google or through LinkedIn or Meta or anything like that. And then you've got earned media where people are giving you your social, they're tagging you on their socials or they're referring you and all that sort of stuff. But then owned media is usually about your communications to your client, which is normally email. There used to be a really, really long-standing stigma about email is dead, people are emailing too much and all that sort of stuff. But it's actually kind of come back around. And now email is where you need to really be capturing your audience attention, and where you need to be communicating them and building that trust and showing them who you are and what you stand for. And you can build it up into a nice little story without being salesy or pushy or anything like that. I guess one of the main reasons why I love email marketing is because they're your audience. They've come to you and you own them. They're not sitting outside on an external platform like Google or Meta or anything like that, that they can shut down or change their rules or anything like that. And then all of your audience is gone. Whereas if you've got them on your mailing list, you can potentially have them for years to come if you've treated them the right way, if you haven't spammed them and if you haven't not communicated with them for a very long time or anything like that. So yeah, so that's one of my biggest things. And then the follow-up emails as well. So you're very big on the follow-up emails and the re-engagement emails and stuff like that. Can you give us some examples of what's a good follow-up email or what you have seen that works?
Absolutely. And I'm actually going to talk about one that I receive in my inbox every week from a guy that I have been following for years, really admire what he does. And he's blimmin' clever with his emails because I look forward to receiving them. And that's what we want people to do, right? Like, let's remember also that email's so magic because it sits in their inbox or one of their columns, but it sits there until they delete it. Whereas when you've posted on social, I might not have gone onto Facebook that day, or maybe I haven't engaged with your content in a while, so I don't even get shown your content. That's the beauty of email, I think, is that it's going to sit there until it gets deleted. We want to get to the point where people actually look forward to receiving your emails. So with this guy, for example, I really look forward to his weekly newsletter. And one thing he does that's incredibly clever, at least once a month, he puts a poll at the bottom of his newsletter that said, did you like this one? Is that a yeehaw or is that a meh, it was a bit of a boring one today? And so you click on it, which of course then takes you over to his site. And next thing you're exploring another offering that he's got or a blog. And it's just super, super clever. So that's one thing that I think is great is making it interactive. But one thing that I do, and might I say, pretty well, is that getting people to engage with my email rather than being passive with it. So I try and always make sure there's some kind of call to action that isn't just click a link to buy this thing or click a link to sign up to this. I might say something and then go, hit reply and tell me what you've done about that. And so often I get a bunch of responses from people telling me some super random things, but it's then getting personal between us. And it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Every time I'm thrilled and surprised who's actually clicked reply. So I think
Yeah.
that would be my thing is that with that re-engagement email, making sure firstly that there's something that they want to engage with. But another one that I do with that is make sure every 6 months I send out a newsletter only to the people that haven't opened one in 6 months. So I'll make sure it's a very different hook with some kind of little offer in there, but that it will also say, hey, if you want to unsubscribe, this is the button to make it easy for you to do so.
Yeah.
Making sure that I'm keeping that list really clean.
Yeah, and you touched on a couple of key points there about the engagement. So when people are responding back or answering a poll like that genius email tactic has done, it's actually telling the email algorithms as well, saying that you've got good content. And so your emails are less likely to go into a spam box. Also, if you're then driving them to another link or a website or a blog or something that they're going to also engage, then you're also driving further traffic onto other sites or your other platforms that are also then giving you that traffic to your audience for them to still engage with you, get to know you better, and understand what you're offering and all those sorts of things. And so that's brilliant. And then the other point that you touched on about getting people to come back to you if they haven't responded as well is, quantity is not as good as quality. And so just because you have thousands of people on your emailing list, but they're not engaging is not actually a really good thing. You're better off having a tight knit little audience that is actually engaging and listening to your every word and stuff like that, rather than having all these people that are just on your mailing list. And that also brings me to another thing about lot of the email marketing platforms charge you or for how many people that are on your list. And so if you have all these thousands of people that are on your list but have never engaged, have never opened a single email or anything like that, well, then you're being charged for that, which is an unnecessary cost to you and to your business.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Once every 6 months, I do it as a regular thing and with a different type of a hook in the subject, etc. So what would you recommend for a re-engagement email that when those people have gone a little bit quiet?
I mean, there's lots of different tactics, and obviously it depends on the type of business that you have and what sort of audience you have as well. I come from a very professional corporate sort of environment. As much as I love seeing emails like, hello, are you still there? And it just piques my interest and I want to open it. Sometimes that's not appropriate within this social set or the environment that you kind of sell into or broadcast into. So being a bit clever about trying to get them to open that email. I think we've covered this in another session some time ago, but your subject line is so important, and the shorter the better, to be honest. That's a little secret there. But there's a really cool, fun website called, is it subjectline.com, I think, or
Yes.
email? Yeah, subjectline.com, that's it. And you type in your subject line that you're thinking about sending out, and it's got this algorithm that it will rank and rate your subject line, how good it is, and what's the likeliness of being for it to be open. So that's something that I absolutely love using, because it's almost like A/B testing what you're going to be sending out, and that's what I like to use when I'm
One
going to be
thing
sending
I've
out.
noticed, Mazzy, that seems to be a common issue across all AI platforms that I've been playing around with is that when you ask them for a subject and a preview for your newsletter, ask it maybe, I need a great hook for my subject line to make sure that people take notice and open it in their inbox. And pretty much every time I notice that they make the preview crazy, crazy long, like almost like a whole sentence moving into a paragraph. And it's like, you should know no one can see that. And
Nobody-
really, so when you said just short and succinct, that's got to
Yeah.
be the thing. So I've been following Linda Wilcox for a long, long time, who specializes in nothing but email marketing. And sometimes her emails will come into my inbox with literally one word.
One
And
word.
I'm just like,
Then it's
clever,
fun.
you
Yeah.
caught me, I'm in. So I think that's really good. We could literally talk about email subject lines in a whole podcast session dedicated to that, because I know you and I both get really into that. But let's talk about the next kind of email that we think is so, so, so important. And that would be the referral email. Tell me what you think about that one.
Yeah, so it can definitely be awkward if it's not done right. And sometimes, asking for an introduction or asking for a referral can be tricky. But if you've warmed up your audience well enough, as in you are communicating with them on a regular basis, you do have fun emails that's not just always salesy or always putting it back about you, then when you then go to ask somebody, you've built that relationship with your audience and your database, then it becomes a lot more conversational and more natural when you are asking if there's anybody that you think that would benefit from this or my service, please send them through. And then you can always just give them a small incentive as well. If that's something you're comfortable with and it makes sense, then that's definitely something I would do for it to not be so awkward when you're asking for referrals and things like that.
Can be a really tricky one.
Yeah.
It really can be tricky, but I think you've nailed it, that there's ways that you can word it and make it, like, at the end of the day, if you hear of something amazing or you've been trying that out yourself and you think it's incredible, you do want to tell people about it. So just reminding them that they could forward it on to someone or get someone to sign up to my list or whatever it is that you want to get them to do. I think, do it in a way that shows that you're actually just trying to help more people. Or it might be that you've got a sale going on, right? And hey, remember to let your friends know that it ends tonight. You don't want them to miss out and you to be the one doing the cool thing or wearing the great top or whatever it is. So reminding them that it's actually a good thing to share it rather than a salesy thing. And then that kind of leads me on to another one that I think super important. and kind of similar in the fact that it can be really awkward. But that's the review request. So when you want to ask someone to please, can I have a review or a testimonial? And it's a really tricky one, isn't it, for some people, because it's basically putting yourself out there and say, hey, do you think I'm awesome? I want you to tell people that. Or, hey, I certainly noticed some really clever ones with some ecom people. So it's about clever wording that makes me go, yeah, I want to do that. That's a great idea. But what are your thoughts around the review request or testimonial request?
Well, I think, a couple of things. One, you should always try to have it automated, and it should always try to be automated almost straight after the thing that has been transacted with, whether it's the order, whether it's the service that you've provided, or the treatment, whatever it may be, as quickly as possible. Because one, it's going to be at the top of their mind still, so they're likely not to forget. And then also, putting it back on them, as in not put it back on them, but trying for them to think about how they feel that you've treated them, or how that the service that you've provided, and also trying to give them a little bit of a prompt, because sometimes you do get writer's block. You have all good intentions on sending or writing a review, but one, you get busy, so you forget, and then two, when you go to write it, you're like, oh, what do I write? What do I say? And you get that writer's block. So if you have a few things like talking points, about 1 or 2 points about what the service was, how was it? Were you happy with it? Was the person who completed that job, were they great? Yes or no? And so you're kind of prompting them on what you want to say. And then also on the topic about automating is have the follow-up reminders about it as well, because often we just ask the once and think that, oh, they'll remember and then they'll get it done, and it never gets done. So trying to, like, the really good e-commerce operators have it automated that you're sometimes getting 3 or 4 reminders to then leave you that review in various different ways to get you to go, oh yeah, and almost feel guilty that you haven't done it quickly enough. So I think that can be quite clever to do that as well.
I think a little gift, why not? Say, hey, if you would record me a video testimonial, then I'd like to give you a half-hour free coaching session. Or
Yeah.
if you've got a product-based business, it could be, I'd love to give you a voucher to shop if you're able to do XYZ. So I think
Yeah.
that's always a good one. But I love that you said about prompting people with what they could say. So I'm going to tell you about this cool thing that I did with a client once. That was a 3-step process, and it was really, really easy to set up. So first of all, we did it as a form. So rather than saying, please leave me a Google review, they just had to click the link, go to a form, and then fill it out from there, right? And it even included a tick box at the end that they would be happy to use, that we could use that in multiple ways. But what was clever is that it was for a product-based business. So it asked them questions along the way of what they thought about the product, what they were loving about using it, etc. So it was already getting their mind in the mode of, oh yeah, I have been really enjoying it. This is what's cool about it, blah, blah, blah. Then the final bit was, could you just write me a sentence that really sums up the experience with using it that you would share with somebody else? Then just underneath that, it said, now, can you just copy that sentence, click this link and go over to my Google reviews and just paste it in there? And then can you jump onto my Facebook page and just paste it in there? So it actually became a very, very simple little 3-step process. So they didn't have to rethink about it or go, oh, what would I write on this one? Or, oh, no, I've already pressed post and I don't want to have to go back in and copy it again. And it was literally just copy it now, paste it here, paste it there, done. And she had incredible success with getting great reviews across the board.
I love that. That takes quite a bit to actually set that up, but the rewards and the dividends afterwards is what you're looking for. So yes, that does take quite a bit to do, because you've got to think it out, you've got to step it out for somebody and make it as frictionless as possible. But then, like you said, the reward, the outcomes and the reviews that she's got is incredible.
And now, but since I mentioned before about video testimonial, I just had a thought when you were talking. I was like, oh, and then we should have set up another automation that for the person that did all that and were clearly a big fan and super keen to share that, then we should have set it up that then they got another automated email that said, thanks so much for really sharing what you think. It was so great to read. Could you just record a little video? And then you've got the 4 whammy, which I think would be really cool.
Yeah, I know. Some
I
people
think
are camera shy though, so you gotta video testimonials are the absolute gold, but a written testimonial is just as good.
absolutely. So, what do you think then would be the trickiest thing that you're seeing at the moment for people with writing emails? Because from my perspective, it's AI. So now emails that I used to get that I loved, that I really looked forward to reading from colleagues or people in the industry that I really felt were thought leaders in the industry. And now I'm reading it and going, that's a little chat GPT number. So I'm not saying they still don't have those incredible ideas in the first place, but for whatever reason, they've said to AI, now can you please just make this better or something? So that for
Mm.
me would be one of the biggest issues. So what would you suggest would be, from your perspective, what's one of the biggest challenges about getting on and writing these emails?
The biggest thing is always time, and yes, AI is amazing because it'll cut back the time that it takes for you to string your sentences together and put your thoughts together and all that sort of stuff. Yes, AI helps you with all of that, but at the same time, you should always be, no matter what, always proofreading it, sense checking it. You should be then making sure that it does sound like you. It doesn't sound like something that's generic and something that's just been, that you've just hit like go and then let it go and run itself. There's always going to be that element of someone sense checking it. One of my tips, one of the things that I do is just I read it out loud, see how it sounds, because that's the best way to proofread something. And that's just in the years of editing and stuff like that. You just have to read it out loud, see how that sounds out loud. And then if it sounds a bit weird, that's basically because it's probably robotic sounding. And so then go back and change it and fix it and amend it and stuff like that. And then you add your own flavor. Like I know you love to use a lot of emojis because that kind of shows the emotion as well, because it's always so hard to convey emotion on an email. It's good to have those little emojis in there or to break up text and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how you put your own little style into them as well. Yeah.
Totally. I'm so glad that you said that about reading it out loud, because I often think also with social posts too, have they actually read that back to themselves or
Yeah.
read it aloud, because it isn't what they sound like. And so I
Yeah.
think that's just a gold piece of nugget. That was
Mhm.
brilliant, Mazzy. So if we go back to our topic, which is the 5 emails that every business should have running on autopilot. So they are the welcome email, the follow-up email, the re-engagement email, the referral email, and the review request.
Yep. Yep.
So I put it out there to everyone this week to choose one of those 5 emails and get it written this week. One done is better than 5 planned. So which one are you going to choose? Let us know in the comments what you've gone with, or if there's something that you're finding really tricky about writing newsletters.
The thing is that if you just think this is just not my thing, it's not me, then outsource it. Get a copywriter. Get somebody who's their bread and butter and they love that. Because why waste your time when you could be doing something else that is far more efficient of your time and something that you're more passionate about than you trying to be stuck there thinking about, oh, I've got to write this letter that's now just becoming a pain and I'm just going to keep procrastinating about it because I hate it. So yeah, that's one of the things I heavily advocate for. If you
And
don't love it, outsource it.
totally. And also, if you can't automate it in the system that you're using, then find a system that you can, because really you need to have a system that works for you, especially when you're paying for it. So if you haven't explored Magnify Connect or Magnify Hub, then go and take a little look. They're part of our Magnify Your Biz ecosystem.
A
And
shameless little plug, yes.
yes, a shameless little plug. It will make everything so much easier. Set it up once. I'm not pretending that it's easy. Like, obviously, setting up a whole system takes time and effort, but once you've set it up, you're done and you can step back and go, oh, it's working for me now and I'm loving it. So, yeah, get into it. So, we'll see you next week. And until then, keep showing up and keep growing. Bye.
Bye.
We're here every week with something real. Business owners who know how it feels to want to be found, to want to connect, to build something good with people you respect. Connect, collaborate, grow, find your people and let your business flow. Magnify, magnify, get visible, get found, and let's go. Magnify your biz, let's grow together.